Thank you so much for joining us for News Channel 20 Midday. I'm Noelle Forde, and we have some breaking news to get to. Lower courts have sided with the states, but it's unclear how the justices will rule. Meantime, advocacy groups want the Biden administration to start considering backup plans in case they lose the case. The U.S. was forced to crash one of our surveillance drones over the Black Sea after a Russian fighter jet clipped the propeller. The family of the man who died after being strapped to an ambulance stretcher isn't letting his memory fade. On Wednesday, family members of Earl Moore Jr. gathered to remember the Springfield native.
And how does it make you feel, to see all these donations coming in? I mean, you can see the food over here. We have toys. A lot of people here in Central Illinois have been coming out to donate and to give back to the community.
Onto a crime alert. A 14-year-old is in custody after the shooting death of a 16-year-old in Urbana last week. But still ahead on News Channel 20 Sunrise, 2 additional Memphis police officers now relieved of their duties. Multiple local law enforcement agencies are noticing a trend where they say gun owners are providing criminals with weapons. The state is facing backlash and a possible lawsuit.
The Illinois Fuel and Retail Association taking action against the state over a gas sticker mandate. CEO Josh Sharp is worried about possible fines a gas station could face.
But to force fuel retailers to do something like this and then threaten them with criminal penalties if they don't, again, it's unconstitutional, and it shouldn't be this policy of this state or any other state in the country.
Sharp saying it's an election year gimmick.
For us, that's political speech. It's unconstitutional to force businesses to do that, and we're not willing to go along with that.
And Republicans agree.
Everyone knows that one of the biggest issues is inflation. One of those areas where it hits the hardest is at the gas pump. There's no question that this is an election gimmick.
Democrats say that's not the case, though, noting the language on the stickers doesn't promote the governor or lawmakers. They say it's a way to let people know why they aren't seeing the tax increase.
I think it's important that we let our constituents know when they go to the pump, there was supposed to be a tax to help with our roads. And we're putting a freeze on that because we heard what you were saying, that you're suffering.
This isn't the first time the state has done this. Back in 2000, the state suspended the gas sales tax and required gas stations to post a notice. Governor Pritzker saying in a statement in part, quote, "Informing consumers of the gas tax relief they are entitled to is a practice that dates back to 2000 under a Republican administration and does not promote the governor or the lawmakers." But Sharp says gas stations weren't happy about it back then and are still against it.
Some of them remember 22 years ago when George Ryan did it, and they were unhappy then, and they're especially unhappy now that we're back to that.
Gas stations are required to post these notices on every gas pump beginning July 1st. If not, they could face a $500 fine.
The Illinois Fuel and Retail Association's board already voted to approve a lawsuit against the state over the stickers. They should be filing that in the next few weeks, and of course, we're going to continue to follow that story for you.
Illinois lawmakers closing out veto session on Thursday by pushing through changes to the Pretrial Fairness Act. The new amendment adds crimes like arson to charges that would allow for someone to be detained while awaiting trial.
This is a product of negotiations with such stakeholders who are neutral on this bill: the State Attorneys Association, the advocates, law enforcement, and other criminal justice partners. And I would like to repeat that this bill has the support of victims' rights groups, and I'm grateful for it.
The legislation also lays out the transition between the current cash bail system and the new one going into effect, explaining that anyone who's charged with an offense on or after January 1st will have their pretrial release determined under the new system. Those arrested before January 1st will stay on the current bail system, but people arrested before January 1st can motion to have their case heard under the new rules. This will happen on a continuing basis. These hearings must be done within 7 to 90 days, depending on how serious the charge is. Illinois' court system is already preparing.
The task force has created a number of materials for all stakeholders. We will adjust those as necessary and hold as many town halls and trainings that we need to do between now and the effective date to make sure that people are as prepared as possible.
But the bill failed to get Republican support in the state. Outgoing Minority Leader Jim Durkin believes it's going to do more harm than good.
When this bill was passed a few years ago, I said it was misguided, confusing scheme that will diminish public safety in all regions and streets throughout Illinois, and I stand by that today.
The legislation also provides consistency for what prosecutors must present to detain somebody awaiting trial on the grounds that they're a threat, along with clarifying that judges have the ability to issue arrest warrants if somebody does not show up in court.